PED. So history taking is very important. Management is generally placebo, and this is the FAF, and coming to the OCT part. So now this serous PED is actually the leak point, and we can see some fuzziness over here and a dipping of the inner retinal layers. This is the retinal dipping. So this is a case of acute CSCR. So we have to manage accordingly, whatever way we are managing it. Everyone has their own protocol to manage, but generally it is a placebo treatment. Sir, this is a leak point, this and this fibrin, this is getting connected. So that is why it is dipping like this. This fibrin and this, yes. So again, this is a picture which is very typically showing some tracks here, here, here and here. So this is a case of chronic CSCR. FAF very nicely shows it. Now what do we find on OCT in this picture? We see a small pocket of SRF, then we see RP atrophy. This is a flat irregular PED, that is FIPID. This and these are the features which generally suggest that this is a chronic CSCR if we see a pocket of SRF. Generally, this patient doesn't need any treatment but reassurance and follow-up. But same time we see another patient of chronic CSR. Here again there is a track very nicely seen. Now this patient presents with this type of OCT. So when we see first this OCT, we think this is a cystoid macular edema, and we tend to give anti-VEGF in this patient. Now we have to see many things in this picture. If this is we have to clinically correlate. If just this OCT comes to you, then also it is showing many features that treatment may not benefit. The large cystic space, the ellipsoid joint integrity is not there, RP atrophy is there. So generally this patient again will not have very good visual prognosis after anti-VEGF. But if you correlate clinically, it's a patient of CSR, then we know that this is not cystoid macular edema, but this is cystoid macular degeneration. Because when we do FFA in this patient, we will not get leakage. So this patient may not respond to anti-VEGF, but that is the only option we can offer in such patients. Now coming to diabetic macular edema, this is the most common entity we again see day in and day out. This is again a patient of diabetic macular edema with cataract. So we did an OCT, we planned cataract surgery for this patient, but these type of patients, when you see this type of macular edema which has all the three components, that is spongy, cystic and sensory neural, these patients are generally good prognosis patients. And when you are planning cataract surgery also, so we can plan anti-VEGF or intravitreal steroid with cataract together. So this patient, given both, we got this picture after 1 month. Now this OCT is showing lot of hyperreflective foci and some hard exudates. So these hyperreflective foci indicate an inflammatory marker. So these patients will respond better to steroid. But then one very important thing to notice, the more the hyperreflective foci, earlier will be the resolution, but earlier will be the recurrence also. So these type of patients, we need to have regular follow-ups. This is a very beautiful picture of OCT picture of a macular edema, diabetic macular edema, which is having all the features: neurosensory detachment, retinal bridges, cystoid degenerations, hyperreflective dots. So this altogether is a case which is having good prognosis for anti-VEGF or steroid. Now why? Because this neurosensory detachment is always a good prognostic factor, because it acts as a protective layer, because the internal structures of the retina are not disturbed. So these type of edema respond quickly to the treatment, and then the visual prognosis is also good. Now this is just for PGs, OCT based classification of DME. I just want to emphasize on the fourth part where we are seeing this VMT or traction. So these type of patients need surgical intervention and not medical intervention. This is one patient of diabetic macular edema. Again you can see cystoid edema and hard exudate. Now visual acuity at presentation was 636. Patient already at presentation, this was the picture. Patient received anti-VEGF injections, monthly interval, 3 injections. But after third injection, now this edema has recurred. Earlier it was responding to one anti-VEGF, but when the edema recurred, here is the time you can switch over. You can think of changing your drug. So we decided to switch over, and we switched over to another drug. So now visual acuity still remained as 612, although the edema has gone. Now here we have to see what is the reason why the vision has not resolved completely. So we can see there is an ellipsoid zone loss over here. So these are the factors which we can only pick up on OCT. When keep on treating, and every time we are not going to do angiographies for the patient. So OCT is a non-invasive tool and very good tool for serial follow-up for the patient. This one patient came to us with a history of receiving one intravitreal anti-VEGF. So we gave again one more intravitreal anti-VEGF, but the vision was the same, picture was the same. So then we thought of deep diving, why it is not improving. So we said, we saw so many things. There was a taut posterior hyaloid, there was a drill, then there was this ellipsoid junction loss also. ELM loss was also there. So then we know that this patient may not respond to anti-VEGF because there is an amount of traction also. And these features of drill and ellipsoid zone loss are not going to help improving the visual acuity. So these type of patients need to manage conservatively also, comprehensively also. So other factors like renal status and many other things also need to be considered when we are managing a patient of DME. It's not only about managing the edema, but we need to manage the patient as a whole to get better results. Just a small question, see this patient. This patient is diabetic for 14 years. Now see the right eye and the left eye. Right eye vision is just CFCF, left eye 6/60. Would you say anything to the patient? I will show you the OCT also. This is the OCT of the patient. You can hardly make out any layer properly in the right eye. And left eye also, there is a hard exudate plaque just sitting in the center. So what would you advise to this patient? Any anti-VEGF or something else? Yes, so this patient actually anti-VEGF may not benefit, because when you inject, patient demands improvement in vision also. That's the only key factor which he understands. So for these type of patients, we again need comprehensive approach. Anti-VEGF may not improve. Now coming to vascular occlusions, this is a very simple case of CRVO, typical cystoid macular edema. So this patient we know is going to improve very well with anti-VEGF, but then along with this, other systemic investigations and all are also very important. We just can't keep treating the eye. So but this serial OCT serves as a good tool for serial follow-up. So this patient has been followed up simply on OCT, unless and until we find a drop in vision not improving, and many other factors. Then we want to look for ischemia if the vision is not improving. So that's altogether a different game. Now this is one patient of BRVO. So you see this patient I have been following for 3 years now. So ups and downs, we can just look at the OCT and we are managing with anti-VEGF. Suddenly after 2.5 years, now this is what the patient is now. Patient was not improving beyond 636. So we did an octa and everything. And then we saw that now it is showing ischemia also, and then features of drill also. So then OCT becomes again a non-invasive tool to monitor the patient. So this is one very common finding, but often misdiagnosed. This is generally diagnosed as macular scar or something, and we just send the patient and say that we cannot do anything for it. But this is one disease which is generally missed. It's MACTEL. This is a patient with diabetic retinopathy also. Now this type of OCT is little typical about MACTEL, that we see that thick pigmentary line at the inner retinal surface, which is showing this back shadowing. So generally this is seen juxtafoveal. If juxtafoveal you see this type of picture, we should think of MACTEL once. Or of course we need to do other modalities also, but then OCT can just give a clue to you. This another very typical sign of MACTEL, that is parafoveal telangiectasia. Here this type of cystoid cavity just beneath the retinal surface, we tend to diagnose it as a macular edema and try to give anti-VEGF. But this patient will not respond because this is just a cystoid cavity, not leaking, and this is known as ILM drape sign. This is also very classic of parafoveal telangiectasia. Now this is patient diagnosed as macular scar. It is, but then there are some findings which can give a clue, okay, then this could be MACTEL. Juxtafoveal appearance, then you can see the inward turning of the outward turning of the inner retinal layers, ellipsoid zone loss. So these are some features which suggest that it can be MACTEL. This is typically a myopic fundus. So myopic fundus, we generally tend to miss the findings because it has hardly been picked up anything except the sclera. But when patient comes with a complaint of sudden drop in vision or distortion of vision, we should pay attention to the complaints. And if we do an OCT, we find that there is a CNVM sitting over here with fluid. So generally high myopes, we tend to miss these findings because of the clinical picture is like that. This is almost normally looking fundus, and patient was very particular that I'm feeling distortion just 2 to 3 days, and it looked almost normal. Just when we did an FAF and OCT for this patient, we could see that CNVM was sitting over here. So sometimes unexplained visual loss, OCT gives a clue that what could be, and then we can proceed for further investigations and treatment. Age-related macular degeneration, a very common topic. So this we have seen these drusen's, so typical dry ARMD. So this shallow irregular RP elevations, these are drusenoid RP detachments. Now this patient, other eye, also had drusen's, but one drusen has to be looked upon very seriously because this is a wide based drusen, and this if it is more than 350 microns, that it becomes very important to follow up. So this patient with this drusenoid PED, we have been following this patient for every 3 months. Now this is a precursor for geographic atrophy. This can be a precursor for geographic atrophy, so needs close follow up. So we kept on following, some more findings of dry ARMD kept on coming, like pseudodrusen's, which we have already discussed. Then we are seeing some hyperreflective material over the drusen also. And finally, we see this collapsing PED. So this collapsing PED, this patient may go into geographic atrophy or formation of MNB. But two things are important. If the PED is wider, more chances to go into atrophy. If the PED is taller, more chances of MNB, that is macular neovascularization. So this is how it goes. There are many other signs here or more than I may be showing in the next slide. So this is one more patient. I was following this patient, and this time this patient presented with this PED which had some hyporeflective space and hyper both. So it was a split core drusen. This is again an intermediate AMD. So I asked the patient strictly to monitor the Amsler chart and for regular follow-up. So this patient, after 4 months, she just came with this picture. So we had seen that PED height has given up. Now hyperreflective foci are also seen. So double layer sign was also visible over here. What is double layer sign? This is just a splitting of basal lamina RP and Brooks membrane. There is some collection of hyperreflective material also. So this was also visible. Now this was suggestive, and a pocket of SRF is also there. So this is suggestive that now some activity is there and it needs treatment. So then we treated with anti-VEGF, serial anti-VEGF. So you can see this finally after 3 anti-VEGF. Now you can see this sub-RP scarring, and sub-RP scarring is here. So now little relaxed that yes, the things are settling, but again patient came with recurrence. So you can't lose the patient just by seeing that it is going into fibrosis. It can anytime recur. So the recurrence has to be monitored by Amsler chart to the patient and serial follow-ups with us. Then at the same time, we need to follow up with angiography, OCT angio, which I think madam is going to take care. So I'm just limiting it to OCT. But this type of scarring, sub-RP scarring, is again a poor prognostic factor. So this is typical geographic atrophy. You can see this is choroidal hypertransmission. So this patient, this eye will not go anytime into neovascularization, but this may progress. As Dr. David discussed on FAF, it's very nicely monitored. So this picture, this patient just recently came. So I just wanted to add it here because when I was preparing the presentation, I was myself reading. So when you read, you find the things in patient also. So this patient was treated with as BRVO, and patient was given anti-VEGF injection. But if you see something very closely here, I could just made out some orangish nodules over here. So it just struck to me that maybe I should get an OCT done. And when we did a OCT for this patient, we can see thumb-like projection, hemorrhagic PED, notched PED, double layer sign, SRF. So some features very typical of PCV. So this patient has to be treated with anti-VEGF. It's just that we are happy that we have diagnosed that this is an NTITT. The treatment will remain the same. Maybe the molecule may change and you have to again follow up the patient on OCT. This patient first presentation was like this. Left eye was absolutely dry ARMD. Right eye had some amount of SRF. So I treated it with anti-VEGF. Now you can see some hyperreflective material subretinal. This is coming up. So this is patient has been treated with anti-VEGF and this is settling now. So this again suggests that this patient will go into scarring. The visual acuity will not be very good. So this SHRM formation suggests that it is a little poor prognostic factor and this will settle into scarring or fibrosis. So this is what we see, that finally the patient went into the atrophy. So multiple injections, multiple follow-ups, and finally it settled with RP atrophy. Maybe visual gain was not good. Patient is also happy. We are happy that at least the lesion has subsided. So that's all from my side. Thank you.